Are you feeling this feeling? The blinking cursor? The mountain of work you need to do? The deadline breathing down your neck? You sit down, you open the file, and nothing. Your brain is a fog. Every 5 minutes, a new distraction, an email, a text, a sudden urge to check the fridge. You are trying to focus, but you are failing. Now, think of another time. A time when you were so absorbed in a task that the world just melted away. Hours passed by in what felt like minutes. The sound of your keyboard became a rhythm, a song. The colors on your screen seemed brighter, more vivid. Your thinking was fast, fluid, and effortless. Every action flowed perfectly into the next. You weren't just doing the work, you were the work. This is flow state, the zone peak performance. For most of our lives, we treat flow like a lightning strike, a magical random event we can only hope for. But what if it's not? What if flow isn't luck? What if it's a predictable, biological state, a state you can engineer? On demand. The scientific term for this is transient hypofrontality. It's a mouthful, but the concept is profound. Transient means temporary. Hypo means less, and frontality refers to your prefrontal cortex, the KO of your brain. Your prefrontal cortex is responsible for complex planning. Your prefrontal cortex is responsible for complex planning, self-awareness, and your inner critic. It's the voice that whispers, "Is this good enough? What will they think? Don't mess this up." Transient hypofrontality is the science of temporarily shutting that voice down. When you quiet your inner CO, your brain stops overanalyzing. It stops doubting. It stops filtering. Your sense of self, your sense of time, and your internal critic simply dissolve. What's left is total immersion. This isn't a productivity hack. This is Nungo. And today, I'm going to show you 3 science-backed triggers to engineer this state, not in weeks, but in minutes. The first trigger is about finding the sweet spot of challenge. The father of flow science, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, spent decades studying people at their peak. He found that flow doesn't happen when you're relaxed. It happens when you are pushed to your absolute limits, but not beyond them. Flow lives on a razor's edge. Csikszentmihalyi mapped it. He found 2 primary enemies of flow. The first enemy is anxiety. This is when the challenge is too high for your current skill level. Imagine trying to code a complex video game on your first day of learning Python. Your brain doesn't see a challenge. It sees a threat. It floods your system with code. You panic. No flow. The second enemy is boredom. This is when your skill level is too high for the challenge. Imagine a concert pianist being asked to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star for an hour. Their brain checks out, it seeks distraction, it goes on autopilot, no flow. The flow channel, as he called it, is the perfect intersection where a high skill level meets a high challenge level. But how high is high enough? This is where researcher Stephen Kotler at the Flow Research Collective provides the data. The neurological sweet spot they found is when the challenge is roughly 4% harder than your current skill level. Not 40%. That's anxiety, not 1%. That's boredom. 4%. Why? Because a 4% gap is just small enough to be achievable, but just large enough to demand your total concentration. It forces your brain to become hyper-focused, deploying all its resources to close that small gap. That demand for focus is what begins to silence the non-essential parts of your brain. You don't need a calculator for this, you feel it. It's about setting clear, micro goals that push you just outside your comfort zone. If you're a writer, your 4% trigger isn't write a book, it's write for 25 minutes without hitting the backspace key. If you're a programmer, it's refactor this single function to run 5% faster than it did yesterday. If you're a musician, it's play this difficult passage 3 times in a row perfectly at a slightly faster tempo. By setting a clear goal that is just 4% harder, you give your brain an explicit target. You set the stage. But this leads to the second trigger. You set the challenge, but now you must eliminate the noise. Flow requires undivided attention. And this trigger is about a systematic ritual of elimination. Now, There are two kinds of noise. The first is external noise. This is the easy part. It's the phone notifications, the 27 browser tabs you have open, the email alerts popping up. You know you need to turn these off. This is about shutting the physical door, but the real enemy is the second kind, internal noise. This is about shutting the mental door. Internal noise is your brain's to-do list. It's the, did I remember to pay that bill? It's the, what am I making for dinner? It's the nagging self-doubt from your prefrontal cortex. This internal chatter is the very thing that prevents transient hypofrontality. Think about Michael Jordan. When he described his greatest games, he didn't talk about thinking. He said, the court becomes quiet, the hoop is all I see. He didn't think about the shot, he became the shot. This is a master-level description of an externally and internally silent mind. How do we silence our inner noise without years of Zen training? You don't fight the noise, you give it an exit. This is a simple 3-minute pre-work ritual. First, take out a physical piece of paper. For 60 seconds, do a brain dump. Write down every single thing on your mind, every worry, every task, every random idea. Get it out of your head and onto the page. You are neurologically signaling to your brain, this is captured. You have permission to let it go for the next hour. Second, on that same paper, write down one goal, one crystal clear objective for this session. Not work on the project, that's too vague, be specific. Draft the 3 main arguments for section 2. This ritual isn't magic, it's a neurological command. You cleared your brain's RAM and you've given it an unmistakable target. Now for the final piece, you've set the 4% challenge, you've silenced the noise. The last trigger is to tell your body that it's safe to focus. This is the physiological switch. You cannot be in peak performance and fight or flight at the same time. It's biologically impossible. Most of us live in a state of chronic, low-grade stress. We are shallow chest breathers. This pattern of breathing signals threat to our nervous system. It keeps our brain waves in a high, alert, scattered beta state. This is the state of anxiety, stress, and distraction. Flow state thrives in the alpha wave state, which is calm, creative focus, and the theta wave state, deep immersion, where the sense of self disappears. You can't will your brain waves to change, but you can change your breathing. And when you change your breathing, your brain waves will follow. The technique is called box breathing. It's used by Navy SEALs to stay calm, focused, and in the zone while under extreme pressure. We can do it right now. It's simple. Pause. I want you to inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold that breath in. Don't tense up, just hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Now exhale slowly and fully through your mouth for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally hold the breath out again comfortably for 4, 3, 2, 1. That's one cycle. Do this for just 2 or 3 minutes before you begin your task. This pattern does 2 powerful things. First, it physically forces you to stop shallow breathing, breaking the stress cycle. Second, it perfectly balances the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in your blood. This balance is the primary signal that shifts your nervous system from the stressed sympathetic state to the calm focus parasympathetic state. This breathwork is the physiological key that unlocks the door. It tells your prefrontal cortex, there is no threat, you can stand down. And that is when transient hypofrontality begins. That is when your inner critic goes silent. That is when you enter flow. Let S. Recap the triggers. 1. The 4-perch rule. Set a clear goal that is just slightly harder than your current skill level. 2. The ritual of elimination. Do a brain dump and set one specific intention. 3. The physiological switch. Use box breathing for 2 minutes to shift your body from stress to focus. Flow is not magic. It is not a gift from the gods. It is the result of a biological process, a process you can control. Stop waiting for flow to happen to you. Start building the conditions for it. That is the true secret to peak performance. Thank you for watching and for giving yourself this moment of stillness. Remember, focus is not forced, it's breathed into being. Every breath you take is a signal to your body, to your mind, to your flow. So the next time you face that blinking cursor, don't fight it. Pause, breathe, enter your flow.